Hey y'all, Will here, otherwise Zelray, and today in Once Human we're going to be going over how to star up your gear effectively, easily, and productively, which includes not potentially wasting out on other builds that you may want to play as well. On top of that, I want to go over mod conversions and how to use those in your best interest and get the most out of them. Potentially, that's a little bit more RNG. Yet, getting straight into it, let's talk about blueprints. We're going to be near our wish machine to really make this an effective explanation, but let's start with weapons. And we're going to start with the first weapon on our list, the Jaws. I know a lot of people are going to be using it. I think it'd be nice for those people to understand how this works and how to do it without wasting out on potential other builds. You can see that I have started up some weapons, one being the Wildfire, and secondly being the Last Valor. They're both to 3 stars currently, and a lot of people ask me how I did that and why I did that. So that's somewhat the idea of this video. When we take a look at the pistol Jaws, if we right click it, you get into this screen. And just to give you an idea of what these star ratings do, if you haven't figured it out so far, you go to tier preview. This tier preview shows you the damage increase, and that's about it. So we can see that the effects of these guns don't change. We don't get more damage or effects. We simply get extra weapon damage. So we go from minimally at 494 damage per shot all the way up to 617 damage per shot, which is over 20% of an increase. It's a pretty big jump if you're looking at standard weapon damage. However, we have a conundrum. The Jaws is a psi intensity build with unstable bomber. It is also a crit build, so weapon damage does matter to a point, but not as much as unstable bomber does. So maybe we might not want to, first thing off the bat, increase the level of our Jaws, even though it might help us slightly. So first off, we're going to take a look at these Beyonder blueprint fragments. You can see that I do have some here, but they don't give me a ton of experience. Epics give you 10. Legendaries give you 30. Taking a look at the fact that I do have the Last Valor fragments, and I do have that at 3 star, quickly jumping over to that, you can see that if I scroll over it, it now has a new line of text. Same name fragments provide 2 times the experience. So instead of 30 experience, I would get 60 if I were to put it into this, which is very huge. Alternatively, epics would only give you 10, and if it was the same name, it would only give you 20. So not as important there. When we're taking a look at how to make this effective, there's a couple ways. I did outright buy the Jaws. And if you go to your blueprint shop by pressing G at your wish machine, you can see that I have purchased this. I've also purchased the Wildfire and the Hammerhead Shark. Why I did this is simply because I personally want to level up the Wildfire, but say if you wanted to level up the Jaws, buying this is going to be your best idea to increase your standard weapon damage. And all these shop items are a one-time character purchase forever. So once you buy these all out, they're never going to be bought a second time. This allows you to avoid RNG within the game and just get your build off the ground. Once you go into the wish machine itself, you can go echoes from the rift, which allows you to get random prizes, which you may get lucky and pull the item that you really want. But this is a low value target comparatively to something like depth charge. Depth charge increases our odds of upgrading the Jaws 100% because we will get extra blueprint fragments. We'll get the blueprint itself, which will convert into many fragments. And also on top of that, little do some people know, the Hammerhead Shark is also a Beyonder blueprint. Therefore, we'll get fragments for that we can feed into the Jaws and get a little bit of an edge and potentially eke over to star 3. And if we get lucky enough, maybe even star 4 if you were to pull another random Jaws out of something else. Going on to armor will be the next thing. That pretty much covers up the idea of starring up weapons, what they do, and everything else. If you still have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm here to help with this. I think a lot of people may be slightly confused, so I just wanted to try to help folks out. Going to armor blueprints. Oh, one last thing, and this goes for armor and weapons. You can search for something specifically, or you can pull up this menu And since the Jaws is a Beyonder weapon, we can see it right there, we can clarify our search results by Beyonder weapons, and you can see all of the Beyonder weapons available to you. Anything within this grouping of weapons can be fed into each other to increase its star rating. With that out of the way, you can go back to this, press Z to clear. We're going to go over to armor. Where weapon blueprints upgraded increase weapon damage, armor blueprints upgrades something else. I'm going to start with the Shelterer mask. Since we've been on the theme of Jaws, let's stick with psi intensity. Masks give you the most psi intensity compared to anything else. Legendary masks are always set to the same standard, but in the case of Shelterer, it gives us status damage. For the Jaws, that may not be as important for you if you want to stick with as much crit as you can get, but a 2-piece Shelterer might be useful, but what may be even more useful is a 2-piece Savior. That'll be a choice that you'll have to make. Yet, going to the Shelterer mask, you can see that I have this at 3 stars. And I specifically chose the Shelterer mask to level up because it is typically the standard item that you will always put on a psi intensity build unless it uses crit like the Jaws. Going into this, same thing, we can see that it is a Wanderer blueprint fragment. So any Wanderer items can be fed into this to be able to level it up. Again, when you level up any armor piece, not just the mask, you're going to get a tier preview and simply see your health and your psi intensity goes up. And while it may not seem like a huge thing, it does make a significant difference because these are base values. As you go up through the tiers, tier 1 for level 0, 1 through 10, or 9 per se, up to tier 5 for 40 through 50, this will multiply these base numbers and make them much, much stronger. For the fact of us getting 40 base health and 19 base psi intensity on an item that we can then bring to maximum tier and then bring to maximum calibration is a pretty big leap and does make a big effect on your damage. Armors, if you're a psi intensity build, typically want to be starred up before weapons do. Alternatively, weapons want to be started up before armor in weapon damage builds. The deciding factor also for weapon builds is if you need the extra health to survive if you're getting hit too hard by the content. In hard mode, we might run into that, we might not. Again, if you want to level up a Wanderer item, you can look through every single thing and see what a Wanderer is, or simply just click the Wanderer tag, confirm, and it will show you what is available to you. The nice thing about armor and why it's easy to level up is you can use Wanderer items from any type of armor to put into any other type of armor. So even though I might have a ton of Wanderer fragments for something else specifically, even if it's boots, like the earthly boots, I could roll that into most other things. With that being stated, that's really the starring of the armor as well. Realize that this is just bringing up your base values that then get multiplied multiple times over by the upgrades and leveling that you do in the main game. What you may want to use for armor is up to debate. If you aren't using, say, for the Shelterer mask, for Jaws, most likely you're still going to be using the Savior set 2-piece because that just gives you a standard damage bonus above 70%, but it also increases your weapon damage, so you get a little bit of a benefit there. Typically, you need much more crit rate for the Jaws, so you're going to need to focus on crit rate from the items in your armor slots comparatively to other psi intensity builds. That pretty much wraps it up for the armor. The same thing goes for your wish machine. You can buy out any armor that you would like to, key items or sets, and these are a one-time purchase. We're going to be going over and now talking about mods, and specifically the mod conversion. Beforehand, we really didn't understand much about this, but we only had the description of legendary rarity mods that have not been enhanced can be exchanged for legendary rarity mods with selected core effects through mod conversion. And I did play with this a lot at the end of Season 1 to try to figure it out. Essentially, what you want to do is you want to choose a mod that you can enjoy playing with. So if it's a weapon mod, let's go to an armor mod. It'll be easier to show. And let's go over to Quick Comeback. These seem to be unlocked per season. So even if you've gotten all the mods unlocked in Season 1, you'll have to re-unlock them in Season or Scenario 2. That goes for everything. It's easy to do. You just need 3 of them. I do have Quick Comeback available already, so we're going to take a look at that. We can choose what suffix we want. So say I'm going a precision build this season for the extra weak spot damage. I get to choose different items to be able to fed into it. Typically, if you're wanting to be min-maxing, you want to get a purple, 2 blues and a green, but a purple, a blue, and 2 greens can work to give you an effective boost as well. When you put these in, I'm not going to actually make the new item, but I will show you the idea behind it. When you choose 4 items, you want the highest rarity skew as possible because it changes what is guaranteed to appear. We have a chance to obtain epic if we're lucky, but we will get a rare and above. You can see that every single node has an epic dot in it, being purple. And we can go over here, and here's a purple, 2 blues, and a green. This is like the best in slot for what we may want to need, but since that's locked, we can't use it. So you won't be able to fumble mods that you don't want to use. Instead, we're just going to pop in First Electrocution and Light Cannon. By having 1 purple mod in every slot, we guarantee an epic to appear with a maximum of 1 normal. So this could be a epic, a blue, a green, then a normal. However, the more rarity dots we get to cover all the bases, this will expunge normals from showing up, and it may expunge greens from showing up. If we can start finding items that may have 2 legendaries on it, we can then roll those into a more precise mod that we might be looking for. By doing this, we get the precision suffix, so we'll always get weak spot damage. However, we're not guaranteed to get weapon damage to go with the weak spot, so there is still RNG within the system. But if you have a lot of high rarity blips on your attributes, you can roll those in if they're bad and you would never use them into a potential something that could be better. And that's how this mod conversion works. It's pretty simple, but a lot of people don't understand how useful this can be if you're getting very unlucky getting a mod that's worthwhile. Say if you're a weapon build and you wanted, I know I won't have a lot of these, something like recovery mark for bullseye because you want to be able to heal more because you take too much damage. But your bullseye build is based off a critical. You can choose it to be precision. Or if you want bullseye specific buffs, you can choose that as well and get a lineup of attributes that are more preferred towards your play style. Alternatively, if you had a psi intensity shock build, you could make it go for talents, which would give it the elemental attribute, or power surge, which gives it general power surge attributes. Now realize when you do this, you need to consume 4 poorly rolled talent or power surge mods to do so. But since you would never use them in the first place, instead of just breaking them down for mod points, which a lot of people do, however I have almost 4,000 here and over 1,000 there, you may not need mod points anymore, and you're just looking for the best stats you can get before upgrading a mod, and that's where mod conversions come in handy. It's a great system if you utilize it correctly, and I feel that a lot of people can get a lot of value out of it if they do so. However, if you don't, it's pretty much a completely worthless part of the game if you don't understand it and use it as you're supposed to. With that, that's really the video. That's what I wanted to talk about. Hopefully you glean some information on how to upgrade your characters, especially if you're in hard mode and feeling the wrath of the extra damage and enemy types that we have been encountering with the Void and the balance modifier on the enemies that we're fighting, at least on server X777. And thank you for watching. I do greatly appreciate it. As a little outro blurb, I'd like to say thank you for everyone for watching my videos. I have just hit over 3,000 subscribers, which is a huge achievement for myself. I was waiting to have that happen, and it even happened sooner than I expected it to. Also, we're on our way to 1 million channel views, which is my next goal, next to 5,000 subscribers. And I just really want to say I appreciate everyone watching and continuing to watch my videos. It means I'm doing something right. People are enjoying the content. They're getting something out of it. I really like sharing information and making sure other people can play without as much frustrations because they don't understand certain mechanics in the game. That will be continuing on, along with some fun stuff like last time I was talking about the rare deviants, because I myself am a collector as well. If you'd like to continue supporting the channel, feel free to throw a like and comment whenever you can. It helps me out greatly. It allows me to reach more people on YouTube, and I'm going to start streaming more on Twitch TV. If you'd like to go there and watch me or ask me questions there, it's going to be under the same handle, Zelray. And just as a reminder, my name is Will. Thank you for watching. Later.